Welcome, everybody, to episode 25. We've been on a kind of a basketball episode naming scheme. We had the Jordan episode, then we had the Kobe episode. I don't know a basketball player that is like known for wearing 25, but I know Derrick Rose used that when he was on the Knicks. So is this our Derrick Rose Knicks episode of Understable Minds?
I suppose so.
Okay, sweet. My name, as was tradition on the Jordan episode, Kobe episode, and the preceding 22 other episodes, is still Anthony. Sitting to my left, camera's right, is not Eric McCabe. Eric is sitting even farther to my left, even farther to the camera's right, over there in the loud yellow shirt.
What up?
In between us, in the loud kind of a teal, turquoise-ish, bluish green shirt. Doesn't quite fully understand how podcasts work. Scared to talk is the one, the only Mr. Logan Harpool is sitting here. Logan is been on the team for a little while. You've been on the show once before, I think.
Yeah, in here once.
People probably recognize your name a little bit more this time coming into it, and we will get into that here momentarily. But really quick, I wanted to start off with a squad question. This one comes to us from John. John wants to know, what's your guys' favorite cookie?
Ooh.
Good answers out of both of you.
This is very specific. The old Spangles chocolate chunk cookies.
It has to be Spangles.
I don't know if they were different than every other one. I don't know if they did them themselves. I don't know if they still have them. But I remember those 2 corn dogs and a cookie. I'm good.
I'm going to go a different way and say anything homemade.
Anything
homemade.
Just
because it's so much better when you make it or your mom makes it for you.
There you go. That's the kicker.
Yes.
I can make a cookie, but if someone makes me the cookie,
exactly,
and if that's either my or someone else's mom,
yep,
that's a winner right there.
All in.
Did you guys ever, I don't know if this was just a thing for me, but like, did your guys' high school have cookies at lunch?
No,
we had
we had disgusting pizzas.
Well, same.
A rectangle.
Had that. Oh yeah, the definitely microwaved ones.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we had our high school, and then the other high schools in the area had these, like, it was like a chocolate chip cookie, but it was like, they called them half-baked cookies, but it was like they were warmed in an oven. They weren't cooked, and it was still gooey, and it was incredible.
Dang, that sounds
very,
good.
very good. All right, really quickly, once again, before we get into Logan, why you're here, things about you that way. Last week, Eric, we dropped the freaking ball, dude.
I know.
We dropped the ball
on the Understable Minds Player of the Week.
Right.
Yeah.
You picked one.
I picked 2 technically.
Right. I guess so. We are kind of covered.
So I'm gonna have our guest to pick one.
Okay.
It's gonna be really hard for you.
That's fair, because the problem was we didn't nominate anybody.
I realized that after the show.
I like the nomination of Logan now, 8 days after the fact.
Yes.
So Player of the Week from this.
So give Logan a rundown on who's won Player of the Week in the past.
So we've given it to when Johnny McRae had his heart attack. We gave it to him.
Johnny got it twice.
I think Johnny got it twice. Last week, Eric picked Keith Krause and Jackie Morris for helping out at the Dynamic Discs Open. Eric's been pretty good about keeping it within the realm of disc golf.
I've only done it twice too, so.
Yeah, Danny's done pretty well about keeping it within the realm of disc golf. AJ, it's not ringing a bell who AJ's picked. I've done a pretty terrible job of keeping it in the realm of disc golf.
Anthony, and I have them all here. Anthony has picked Robbie Gold,
NFL kicker,
the Jomez crew.
Yep.
Terry Miller.
Yep.
And the Media Gang.
It was all of us, right?
Yes, it was literally ourselves. We gave ourselves an award with Anthony picking.
3 media crews.
The bar is low.
An NFL kicker. So it doesn't actually have to be disc golf. There just has to be some sort of justification.
Player.
Right.
Or person.
Right.
From last week. Has to be from last week there. You can't pick like the 79 Dolphins. Or anything like
Otherwise, the 85 Bears would have been on there a lot.
The first person that comes to mind, I was tracking the challenge at Goat Hill, and Alden Harris took it down and played pretty well. And I don't think it's his first A tier. It might be his second, because he won. What's in Tennessee?
Music City. He didn't win Music City, but that's there.
He won one somewhere over there in the past, but Alden Harris took down Goat Hill.
He had a great showing. Was it Jonesboro or was it Music City this year where he was like in the lead and then
Jonesboro.
That's
He
what
had
I thought,
a really
too.
good showing there,
Yeah.
I remember.
yeah. Okay. So
I think he even had a good showing at the major in Georgia.
you might be right.
I think I remember seeing
You
him
might
on-
be right.
I remember watching him on coverage. I just don't remember which event it was.
We could look these things up, but since
Nah.
it's kind of spur of the moment, it feels right to
Well
just
played.
not.
Well played, Logan. Well played. Good job.
I tracked that in 303 Open. And I think Kyle Klein
And
took down 303.
Kyle Klein
but
did win that.
I'm going to go with Alden at Goat Hill.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Seemed like a little thicker field.
I would have gone with Heidi this week
Yeah.
as our DD player from
Yeah, dude.
Finland, right? She,
Yep.
Yeah, she won Helsinki.
Macy.
Macy also won an A tier. We had another winner this week too.
I think
Matty O won.
Matty O won. I think basically the rest of our team wins because we have to just kick him off now.
Yes.
So
Andrew
thanks.
Miranda was the other one. That I
Yeah,
was thinking.
thanks,
He won
Logan.
The,
You had-
the AM side.
We had a ton of wins.
He won the AM side of Daylaw and got put on the feature card this week.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Would have been a great nomination or would have been a great pick.
Yeah. Instead, he picked somebody.
He's also a child and you picked slightly older adult. So
Logan.
cool, man. Great start to the show. Really.
Unbelievable, dude.
I'm looking up a boo sound effect as we speak.
I think Eric and I could probably just boo.
Yeah, we could probably just boo you all day long if you want.
Anytime Logan's about to say anything now, boo, boo. All right, Logan. So the last part of this, you have to nominate one of Eric, Danny, AJ, or myself to pick a player for next week's episode 26's player of the week.
Danny.
Danny.
Danny's the Manny.
Danny
Manning.
All right.
Danny, you paying
I accept
attention?
this. I will disappoint everyone. But
Well, he's got warning, though.
It can't be worse than
I had
Logan's.
about 20 seconds.
yeah, the spur of the moment
I mean,
was
to
a
be
bit.
fair, that's what most of us have.
Yeah. we know ahead of time. We just don't think about it and then just do nothing.
Yeah.
The difference, though, is that we don't usually have 20 different teammates that can win. And
I
so,
did. I tracked Helsinki a little because that was the UDisc event, wasn't it?
It was.
It was like the-
UDisc,
yeah.
and then Disc Golf Stream also is the European version of Disc Golf Network.
because it was the
It's fantastic, too. by way.
Euro Pro Tour.
Prodigy Pro Tour or something.
I forget the official name.
It
Yeah,
was like
but it was
Seppo and
Nicholas.
He was
who's
there.
Jesse,
Nicholas Antila.
our teammate.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Jesse
played
Niemanen.
a lot
Mhm.
of good dudes in that one.
All would have made great picks, but Alden, no shade thrown his way. He was very deserving of the award, just not from you. That was the problem. All right, let's transition over to the real reason you're here, not for us to make fun of you, for us to congratulate you a little bit, Logan.
Congratulations.
So, as I alluded to, most people are probably a little bit more familiar with the name Logan Harpool, possibly because of the last time you were on the show, but more probably because a couple weekends ago at the Dynamic Discs Open, you took down a podium finish, third place. Take me through leading up to the event. I'll kind of intro a little bit. Last year, you played not up to your expectations, not up to your capabilities, and you missed the cut. So from last year up until this year, kind of what was your thought process and what was that like for you?
Part of it was coming to terms with what happened last year, and that it was more of a mental loss than anything, because my first round was actually, I think it was 6 down at Jones Gold, and then I got hit with a misplay penalty and an incorrect scorecard.
Ooh, I remember that.
So I dropped about 60, 70 spots at 8 o'clock at night.
Bummer.
And so thinking back, I'm like, why did I lose confidence over that? I shredded that first round. That was enough to keep me in it.
Yep.
So really seeing that for what it was, man, I was in it last year. There's no reason why I can't this year. And I've told a select few people, I told Eric at Monkey Island, even though I took third, I said, I'm better than I've ever been. Like I am at my best, and I'm only getting better, but I'm better than I've ever been. And I know it. And if I relax and I'm me, I'm going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't try to do anything that anybody else, don't get baited into anything. But if I show up and I'm myself, I can do good.
Yeah, you said that to me the week before the event, I think it was, when you came up for a practice round. You played the country club, I think, with a couple players, and then came over and caught us at the Supreme 18.
Yeah.
And after that round, we sat in the parking lot for probably an hour talking.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely had this next level of confidence about yourself that day that I noticed. So I knew right then that you were going to perform. But I mean, a podium finish at an Elite Series event, that's
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good these days.
Felt good. Yeah, and I said in the Disc Golf Network interview, it's not a win, but it feels bigger than a win. And I should have clarified, it feels bigger than any win I've had before.
Sure.
That's not larger than winning that event, but
right.
You know, even bigger than the A-tier win. I'd take the podium on the Pro Tour.
Yeah. So how does that kind of coming into the event, like you said, you talked with Eric about, that you're better than you've ever been. How do you balance? For me, I think that would kind of add some internalized pressure of like, I know I'm better than I've ever been. Therefore I have to show that I have to do better than I did last year. Or, maybe you look at the field and say, I should beat this many people. I should finish about here. How do you balance that? Or maybe you don't even have that internalized pressure. What does that do for you mentally, knowing that your game is better than it was this time last year?
I definitely used to have that, and it all stemmed from what other people thought. And what are these people going to think if I fail? What are the people back home going to think if I finish outside the top 40 or if I miss the cut? And the day you can say, I don't care what other people think about me, besides the people in this small circle that their opinions matter, that's the day you're free and you're dangerous. And I felt dangerous when I showed up because I don't care what people think. I'm not here to make people angry because I know if I'm me, that I'm probably a rather likable person. And I think that
you did just pass over how many teammates for the highest award.
It's the 2 events I followed, but I mean, kind of untethered, I guess, is how you get away from that pressure is, I know whose opinions matter. And I know, like I said, if I show up and I'm me, I'm dangerous and I'm going to be pretty good. And it was far from perfect, but it was good enough.
Right. So how does Logan Harpool or the listener at home that works a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job or any other full-time job that doesn't, disc golf's not their full-time job. This isn't what they can dedicate 40 hours a week to. This isn't what they can dedicate 30 hours a week to. I don't know how many rounds you get in a week, but it's probably not more than 2 or 3. So how does that person take their game, maybe not to finishing on a podium at an Elite Series event in a year, but how does that person take their game and improve it? What does that look like for you? And what would you advise someone else in that situation to do?
What I would advise other people to do is just be intentional. Say what you're going to do and do it. And whether it's 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes, or 10 minutes of putting, if you say you're going to do something that day, do it. Doesn't matter how tired you are when you get home. Make time and stick to it and have that plan and stick to it. And it comes down to being disciplined. And if you're not willing to be disciplined and put in those reps, no matter if they're few or a whole lot, you don't want it. And like I'm in a situation where, like, yes, I teach and I work 40-hour weeks, but I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a lot of the responsibilities, and someday I'll gladly trade this or, kind of back off a little to have that.
Right.
But for now, I mean, when I get off work at 3:20, 3:30, sometimes a little later, if I have meetings or something, it's not uncommon for me to be on the course till the sun goes down. And part of that's because I love it.
Yeah.
It calms me down. It's an outlet, but I'm also working. If I'm out by myself, I'm working on something.
Yeah.
If I'm playing with other people, I'm just having a good time, but there's always something I can get better at. And I enjoy the grind, as they call it, but it doesn't feel like that because it's disc golf.
Right. Because you like it. Yeah. And there's I think it might've even been you that in some Disc Golf Network interview I saw that was talking about learning to love the process of getting better and going out and, like you had said, 10 minutes of putting. That if you go and putt for 10 minutes every day, do that for 2 weeks, I promise you will be better the next time. 2 weeks later, you will be better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, learning to love that. So it's not a thing of like, oh, I have to go putt today. I have to do this. I have to do that. But making a game out of it, go challenge a buddy, bring, okay, Eric, I'll putt after work. You and I, we're going to go play horse. Maybe we're not working on specifically, okay, I want to make sure I do this with my wrist or that, but you're out there getting the reps in, finding a way to make it interesting and entertaining for you so that it's not, like you said, it's not a grind and it's not something that dreads you and weighs you down.
I think you can make it. I mean, a cool parallel, I think, is weightlifting. There are guys that do, tries and thighs, back and buys. They don't do everything every day. You can't because your body can't handle it. So Monday's your upshot day. Every day's putting day. You have to putt every day. It's the most important thing. Upshot's Monday, forehand Tuesday. distance.
Why wouldn't you do
Thursday.
forehands on Friday?
Do forehand Friday.
Come
You
on,
do whatever
dude.
you want to do.
You could throw turnovers on Tuesday, whatever on Wednesday.
I didn't know we had
Spit out Saturdays.
but break it up, and you don't go out and rip shots and see how far you can throw 5 days a week. You got, it's the spaces between the notes that make the most noise. And I don't think I'm an outlier in any category, but I don't have a big weakness. I don't have one massive thing that kills me. And that's, if you look at the stats, like none of my stats were really impressive, but I wasn't at the bottom of any of them.
Right.
Just kind of
Like what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none type thing. So you were talking about kind of having a schedule and a routine. Do you have a schedule or routine, or do you kind of, all right, I'm leaving work, I'm going to go stretch, warm up a little bit and just see what feels right? Maybe yesterday you did putting and it didn't go well, so you want to putt again. Or do you have, like we were talking about, Monday backhands, Tuesday sidearms?
in the off season, I follow that pretty close because I don't need to have my body ready for anything. Now that I'm playing almost every weekend, I really watch how many forehands I throw during the week.
Sure.
I watch the distance practice. I do go out and rip discs, but I don't do more than 7 or 8 hard in a day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it in a round. How many minutes are between those throws? It's at least 5 or 6 minutes between them, unless you're
Long
playing
time.
like rip courses. But even Supreme, I never threw 2 max power shots in a row. As much of a monster layout as that was, I never just went smash.
Yeah, the only real chance would probably be hole 2.
Yeah, even hole 2 you don't though.
Right.
You can smash off the tee if you want, but it's all about that second shot, placement shot into that gap.
Right. And even if you're trying to go as far as you can, like you just mentioned, or like you just suggested, Logan, you're probably going sidearm, and you're probably not going sidearm on that hole. So it's probably, if you're going full power, it's probably backhand sidearm, and it's different muscle groups and things like that.
So now it's just kind of whatever feels bad. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Which people don't like to do because you don't want to do what you suck at.
Right.
But if you don't work it, that's the way it's going to stay. So do the things you're not good at, eliminate the weaknesses, and raise the floor of your game to where you don't have that 12, 13, 14 over par round that takes you out of it. Because that was my kryptonite in the past. I'd shoot 1040 and then I'd shoot 960. Like, well, there goes my shot at a good finish. Now we got to dig out of a hole again.
How long? Hey, I want to ask both of you this because I had an interesting experience with this last year. How long does it take you to work on something that you're not good at until like you're talking crack a few eggs to make an omelet of like, it's going to suck while you work on it for a little bit. How long did that emotion or that feeling take to wear off when you were working on like, I'm going to get better at putting or this or that? How long does that feeling usually stick around?
I haven't had a good backhand up shot since late last year. I mean, it's been 4.5 years. And part of it is because where I live in Wichita, you're driving or putting. There's a couple courses that you lengthen it out and throw up shots, but players are certainly shaped by the style of golf they grew up with or that they learn on. And learning in Wichita, we never really threw up shots. I either didn't throw far enough, so it was driver, or, I mean, so it's taken me a long time to get a solid backhand up shot because I survived with a forehand for so long. I could flex it, I could skip it, I could spike it. I didn't need a backhand.
See, and that's exactly on the opposite. These courses around here, you don't have to have a forehand to play. If you have a solid, confident backhand that you are 100% confident in, that's all I needed. And I was performing and I was winning just throwing backhand. So why would I even go work on something else?
Right.
You know, if it was getting me to where I needed to be, like I think I've said this before, when I won Worlds, I threw one forehand and it was because I was in the crap and I was pitching out the entire week. Different time, obviously. Now, to compete, you have to have both backhand and forehand in order to compete for that title. But it's no different than the putting, spin putting, being in Kansas. It's windy. Let's be honest. I mean, it's not windy all the time, but I mean, you have to be able to adapt.
You have to at least have it. You can push putt some of the year, but yeah, there's also times in the year where if you push putt, you're not making putts outside 5 feet.
Yep. And I was always the player that I didn't, not necessarily step out of my comfort zone, but if I didn't feel comfortable with a certain shot, I make sure that I am 100% confident with the other shot. Meaning if it's a forehand hole, I'm pretty confident throwing a backhand turnover. So I stick to that. And was very successful for me.
Yeah. All right, Logan, let's move to, we've kind of talked a lot about leading up to Dynamic Discs Open. round 1, hole 1, what are you kind of thinking? Do you have expectations? What are you feeling at that point?
No expectations. Like I said, the goal was to play on Sunday. Specific to hole 1 was don't leave it short. If I miss the island, I'm missing it long.
Did we miss or did we make it?
I made the island and missed the putt, but that was okay. It wasn't
the only par of the weekend.
Maybe, yeah. Yep. It was, I mean, there's no excuse. It was short, probably jittery, but
Sure.
I mean, and yeah, par on that hole was fine, but no real
Bogey
expectations.
on that hole is really fine. I mean, to start your day, it's really not that big a deal.
Right. Par is still gaining a
I
stroke.
birdied it day 2.
So you're 1 under on hole 1 at Supreme.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
But no expectations. I know what I'm capable of. So I knew if, like I said, the Open at Belton, I played, I showed up, and I tried to do what everybody else was doing. And I didn't cash. And it was not because I wasn't good enough. It was just mentally I got baited into doing things that it's not my game. It's not how I play. So it was, I told my caddy, like, I just got to be me. That's it. Yeah. I'm not going to get baited into doing anything crazy. And
that is such good advice right there for anybody listening. I've stressed this for years. I don't know how many times I've watched players that have like, they're waiting. They're like third on the box and they have their disc out ready to throw. And then they see the 2 guys in front of them throw a different shot and go back to their bag. No, stick to your game plan. Always stick to your game plan. Because I would say 90% of the time, your gut is what you need to be going with. Don't, especially if it's a shot like you haven't practiced.
Yes.
You know, I mean, be different if it's a big spike hyzer on a hole that you have practiced every route to the hole. But for me, if your mind is set on something, just stick with it. Don't try to play outside your own game because it will only defeat you.
But I think watching coverage is good to try to get an idea of how the course should be played. But hole 7 at Country Club, I had no intention of getting to the ditch. So I wanted to be up the hill. I'm a little more eye level.
Short, right? Yeah.
It's a longer up shot, but I'm eye level with the basket. I have good footing. And so I mean, in the final round, I threw it exactly how I wanted to. And then Rick proceeds to throw one. I'd never seen a drive land on that hole, like physically seen it hit the ground because they all dive into the little gully. And I saw his the whole way and just like,
yeah,
I have, but it was when we threw from the short tee.
I mean,
Rick's drive on that hole was stupid.
I've seen mine hit like the ceiling of that gap off the tee and land like 60 feet in front of me. I've definitely seen that.
His drive was probably
he had like a jumper almost.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Slammer chip. Yeah, I had a felon and didn't throw it right, but I don't regret it. Like that was my play. I'm going to leave it short.
Absolutely,
the footing that I want. And my biggest mistake of the weekend, if we can go there, was hole 9 because I was 4 down through 8. I'm like, okay, I got a shot. I could actually win this thing.
What round was this?
Final round.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I was 4 or 5 back from Rick, but we have 16, 17, 18. Anything can happen. If you're within 5, you're in striking distance.
Right.
Rick goes rive. And I told myself, like, I'm going to put this 40 feet past Rick, get to the opening, bend it in, birdie, tried to overthrow it. And it wasn't like a personal thing. Like Rick and I were cool. We were having fun. Like it's not what it was. But I was like, I'm going to put this way up there, make a statement, make this look easy. And I overthrow it, hit the aesthetic wall, stay out of bounds. And that's what you get. That's the one shot all weekend that I didn't stick to my game plan and it bit me.
You almost went through the wall.
Oh, I about knocked it over. It flipped forward.
I was down there and it was loud.
It was moving.
It was very loud.
And it was thrown at the sidewalk too. I mean, it was low. I mean, it maybe didn't have a chance, but the velocity.
Yeah, the power into the disc was there. A little low. I couldn't tell if it was turning or hyzering or flat or whatever, but like the power behind it had the speed to go the distance. It was just
But like I said, I'm not there to one up anybody. I'm there to play my game, and where I fall, and tried to one up somebody, and that's what you get.
Right. So, I'll jump back a little bit from final round to round 3. I forget exactly where it was. And I think I brought this up a little bit last week, but you were walking to some hole somewhere in like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that kind of towards the final third. And you told me, you said coming into the event, your goal was to make the cut. And you were like, I'm pretty much at a point where I can't miss the cut anymore. Like my goal now is to win. Do what I can to win. How do you deal with that how do you kind of mesh those two worlds of my goal is to make the cut. I'm going to play my game. Now my goal is do what I have to do to win this event. Like, how do you make those adjustments on the fly? What are those adjustments? Do you attack holes that you didn't attack before? Do you like, what does that look like?
You stick to what got you there. What put you in the position is probably good enough to carry you the rest of the way. And like I just said, if I'm me the whole time and I don't get baited into trying to one up anybody, I have an even better chance at winning.
Mm-hmm.
But I like flipping the switch and I get a little more quiet and you just dial in a little bit more. I'm still laughing and having fun with my card mates. I don't shut down like that, but that's kind of people are talking about the logo on my hat and everything, like the cat eyes. I've always liked big cats from the time I was little, lions, tigers, stuff like
tigers.
that. And so this is we wanted something kind of mean looking. And so when I do flip the switch, I mean, there's kind of I don't even know what you want to call it. It's kind of a mean feel.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm going for the win, I mean, there's this long running joke. My middle name is Robert, Bob, Low, Bobcat. Came from the time I was really little. And so anytime anybody talks about a power animal or something like Bobcat.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where the eyes came from on this. And like they hide in the grass and then when it's time to go.
Was that why I think it was hole 8, you were laying in the grass in front of the tee pad and tried to pounce on Brody when he threw his tee shot? Is that what that was?
No, but I mean, when you realize you actually have a shot, I think it requires a higher level of focus. But in terms of the actual shots, like it's not like I was never trying to birdie those holes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick to my plan, but I'm going to be a little more meticulous. I'll probably move a little slower, make sure everything is good, and just I can't even say I care more because that indicates I didn't care before, but you just lock in a little more and you know now instead of these putts meaning a couple $100 a piece, now they could potentially mean thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So. And
what does that do? Does that give you a little bit more nerves or does that...
It does, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was shaken for the first 4 holes. That is easily understood as negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I love that feeling.
Really?
It's it's bottom of the ninth, 2 outs with the bases loaded. I wanted to be that guy.
Uh-huh.
Like, I like it. I like being in that situation. And I think more often than I've failed, I've made something cool happen in those situations. Now, at the end of the day, I lost. I took 3rd, but I did what I could. I salvaged what I could through the mistakes, stayed composed, and
right.
Something to be proud of.
Yeah, you lost air quotes on the scoreboard,
Mm-hmm.
but golf is a very internal game. It's a very me against myself game, and you against yourself in that environment against your expectations. You far exceeded them.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal was to play on Sunday, and you were one of the last people to tee off on Sunday. You were in the final grouping on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So you didn't.
I was the last person.
Really?
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you didn't just play on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You basically closed the field, I guess. I don't know if there's an actual term for that. Yeah. So like looking at the scoreboard, maybe you didn't have a W next to your name, but again, your internal score. Mm-hmm. You did.
Oh yeah.
Or at least does it feel that way? Is that a fair thing to say?
I'm proud of it. I'm content, but not complacent. I'm
but hungry for more.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm content. But that feeling of nerves and pressure, I love that. And it's weird. Like
it'll never go away.
I've told my family this. What most people find easy, I find rather difficult. Just normal social settings, like
walking.
Someone walks
breathe
up
in,
like this, like with their hand like that. I'm like, okay, bro hug, handshake. Like, what is this? Like, I'm like, most people just, go with the flow, shake the person's hand. Like,
what's up, bro?
I'm horrible in social situations. Put me on Disc Golf Network in front of 14,000 people. Good.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. But then like I get weird in crowds, like at the block party. I love walking around and seeing you guys and everything. But then when I'm like in that crowd, I'm like, I got to get out of here.
There was a lot of people there also.
There was a lot of people.
That was, I don't know if that was like the most crowded a block party has been, but it felt like it. It just felt, I don't know if it's just because of the way the world has been the last 2 years, but like, it just felt like, holy, there's a million people. I didn't know there was this many people in Emporia.
A lot of people.
It was the loudest block party I've ever been to.
It's true. It was.
Well, the speaker was right by my my head. So it was quite miserable, actually.
I was
could not carry on a conversation with somebody from me to Logan.
We tried.
We tried. You just can't.
Yikes.
It was a nightmare.
I remember hearing loud music. I didn't realize that was just echoing around in your head.
Yep. It was literally right next to our booth. So.
Yikes. Bummer. At least you got to feel the music.
Oh yeah, literally.
Feel the vibes, Eric.
I literally did.
So Logan, obviously you finish in third place. What has it kind of been like? You know, everybody, I feel like there's always that interview at the end of any major sporting event. Oh, so-and-so, you won such and such. What does it feel like? Well, it really hasn't set in yet. I can't really put it into words. Like, now that you've had some time, are you able to put it in words? Has it finally set in that you did finish on the podium at an Elite Series event?
Yeah, definitely. And having time to reflect. I mean, the first place I go, not to be negative, but I missed a tap in from, like, my foot was pretty much touching the red thing of the bullseye in round 2 over at Supreme, tailwind putt. And so I aim it a little high and it didn't drop. Clank headband.
Yeah.
And the first thing I think of is there's outright third.
Yeah.
If I stick the island one of the rounds, I got a chance for Simon in second.
It's so easy to go back. I mean, it's obviously you're hard on yourself for that matter. But the other thing that you need to remember is literally every person in that tournament can do the exact same thing.
Oh yeah,
probably more than once.
Yeah.
With the way that the winds were, and
except maybe Ricky, who just
But no, I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. If you told me, after I missed the cut last year, hey, don't worry, you're going to take third next year, I'd be like, yeah, please. Like I'll take that any day. So I'd be foolish to not be happy and content with it. But there's more to do for sure.
So then what has it been like since then? Has that kind of, not to say that, you didn't have a fire to get better and do better before, but has that kind of grown that? What has it done for you since then?
It's gone from, I think I can to, I know I can. I mean, there was always because like we talked about, like I have the shots, I have the tools. I just haven't put it together yet. I put it together for 66% of the tournament, but then that third round, I, for whatever reason, couldn't seal the deal. But now I put together 4 solid rounds, not great, but solid. And I know I can do it. If I just clean a few things up here and there, mentally, I feel good. Physically, I'm good. There's no reason why I can't. Will I every time? No, but I know I'm capable of it.
So this weekend, you are playing an event in Oklahoma, I do believe. What do you go into that? Did you play an event last weekend?
No. Okay.
So this will be your first one. Do you go into that now thinking or feeling like, I beat all these guys at Dynamic Discs Open. If they would have played, I would have beat them, thinking I have to win this event? Or what? Does it change your expectations moving forward, I guess?
It's never a have to win. I believe I can win and I have a legitimate shot at winning. But just like the tall task of beating Rick, which is not easy, it's not easy to go to Norman and beat the Norman boys on their home courses because it's an entirely different style. It's not Country Club. It's not Supreme. We're playing Lions Park and Griffin, which I don't think we'll throw a disc over 70% power at Lions.
It's all
I don't think it requires that. They're not short. They're just technical. You'd rather be in the middle. So it's an entirely different style, entirely different players. And you can't even look at ratings because the Oklahoma locals on those courses are all 1030, 1040 rated on those courses. They're going to put it together. They know the shot's probably better than I do, but I also know if I show up and I'm me, I don't have much to worry about. I'll be fine.
And like you said too, there's not, I don't know what you would say is better, your backhand or your sidearm, but most people, the average viewer could look and say, okay, this person's more comfortable with their sidearm. This person's more comfortable with their backhand. I genuinely couldn't tell you which one of yours I think is better or what you're more comfortable with. So you have every shot. So does that, knowing that you're, so to speak, going into someone else's backyard, I would imagine that having, like you were talking about before, raising your floor, that's got to give you confidence, even in spite of any nerves that you may or may not feel.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm 50-50 backhand, forehand, just whatever it calls for. I'm good throwing. My backhand's definitely further, but I think what gives me confidence is really since November, I'm hitting lines. Like it's going right where I tell it to or where I think it's going to go. I mean, barring wind. So a lot of those shots didn't quite pan out like I thought they would. But out of my hand, I'm not pulling them right or left. Sometimes you get in weird funks like that where your things are coming out early, they're coming out late. Everything feels good. My putt feels amazing. And as long as my putt feels good, that takes stress off of a lot. So I did a really good job of, I wasn't trying to be perfect, but I did a good job of landing for headwind putts all weekend at Dynamic Disc Open. I think I have a good sense of direction on those courses of where the wind was coming from, so I could play to the headwind side and then have the headwind putt.
So you like headwind putts?
Spin putt, nose up.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
You are such Logan. I always knew you were a weird guy. You're
You're
much
100% right.
It's predictable.
100% right. It's going to lift. You know where to aim. Tailwind. It's going to drop. Maybe and win.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm with you on a spin putt. I'm all in on headwind.
But if the putt feels good, I don't need to be perfect. I can be at 25-30 and
you're
good.
fine.
Yeah. It takes stress off everything else.
I would, within reason, I would take a tailwind putt that is twice as far. Like if you gave me a 15-foot headwind putt or a 30-foot tailwind putt, I'll take the tailwind. Because I know if I aim at like the top chain and just fire it, like I'm not missing that high ever. And even if it drops, like,
and
I'm
that's
probably not
exactly
missing it
how
low.
I feel about it. A 15 to 20 footer, if I aim right at the nub with a little nose up and just jam, and I'm talking just jam it, it's gonna go.
Really?
That's what you told me in 2019 at Monkey Island when I made those 3 big headwind putts.
Yep.
I came to you between rounds and I said, how do you putt in a headwind? You're like, aim it at the cage.
Aim at the cage and jam.
What sense does that make? I want to aim it where it's going to go in, and then I did it, and it lifted and it lifted.
And lifted.
Ever since
you guys do have a very similar putt of like very spinny, a little bit nose up. Yeah. I just get so scared that like I don't want to fight gravity because I'm not going to win that battle, right? So I don't want to throw something lower than I want it to go. I'd rather throw it high and then just gravity's going to drop it, but there's no way it's dropping. I don't know what the space between a band and a cage is, a couple feet. If I just send this thing.
To me, there's nothing better than like a 60-foot headwind putt too. just nice, just jam.
There's nothing better.
Yeah, it's so good. I would take a 60-foot headwind putt over a 60-foot tailwind putt any day of the week. Any day.
Really?
Absolutely. Yep. As a spin putter, 100%. 100%.
I developed a push putt this offseason, but I didn't have the guts to try it on that stage. Because I thought I developed something that I believe pushes in a tailwind, but I just didn't have the guts to try it. It's not quite there yet. Yeah. So I spin putt in the tailwind and I aimed it high and it just went normal. I could have swore it was going to slam straight out of my hand.
It will eventually.
As soon as I aim it normal, it would slam and hit the cage.
Yeah.
You guys
headwind.
Weird.
Headwind. All day.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It's a spin putter thing.
It definitely comes down to that. And just like you guys are both good enough that you can do that. And if you miss and have a 25-footer, you're probably making that. Whereas me,
it's about being confident.
I'm probably 3-putting. And if I have a 60-footer in a tailwind, I don't think I could throw a putt far enough to 3-putt.
You're going to hit something.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And if you miss low, you're not going to go far anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to hit something and sit.
Yeah.
Logan, next windy day, bud. Let's go practice 60-footers in the wind and tell me I'm going to hit something every time.
It's probably windy right now.
All right, that's the show. That's all we've got.
Still May.
Yeah, it is still May. That's actually such a perfect segue, Eric. So, Logan, going into the future now, coming back here, the next event that I assume you'll be playing in Emporia would probably be the World Championships. Will you be playing the World Championships? Yep. What will this performance at Dynamic Discs Open, what will that do for your maybe preparation, expectations, kind of all of that stuff leading up to the World Championships?
I think I'm telling myself just replicate and clean it up. And if I do that, I got a pretty good shot because the number one priority was keep it in bounds. If the winds aren't like they were, it's much easier to do that. And I can attack a little more and be a little more aggressive. But I still don't know that on these courses it benefits you that much, at least not with my game. I don't need to be 100 feet further. I can break the hole down, play it my style, and I'll still have a 20-foot putt for birdie. So, yeah, replicate the good shots and clean up the ones that didn't work. Just learn from it.
Yeah. And
historically, it's not super, super windy like it is in April and in August, September.
I try to tell people, like, it's not always windy here. Just that week, it typically is.
It's just the week that people are here, and that's what they think. And that's what they just have this visual of Emporia, Kansas, just nonstop 40-mile-an-hour wind. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. I heard some negativity around the practice basket before we started the tournament. People almost kind of checking out.
I thought you meant the basket specifically.
No. A lot of how are we supposed to play in this? I'm like, you guys are already
It's called adapting.
Like,
I mean,
yeah. Just you can't have a victim's mentality. We all have to play in it.
Yeah. I heard a really good piece of advice, and we can kind of close on this before we move on. But a really good piece of advice. I think it was from Dana Vici, and he gave a putting clinic or something like that, and somebody filmed it, and I was watching it, and somebody asked, like after the clinic, asked him what his favorite basket is. And he said his favorite basket is whatever he's putting on, because everybody's putting on the same thing. It doesn't, your ideal conditions could be 70 degrees, no wind, no rain, whatever, but whatever. Everybody, if it's raining, everybody's got to play in the rain. If you have to put on a Mach 3, everyone's got to put on a Mach 3. And
I don't mind putting on Mach 3s.
Right.
I mean, I grew up on them.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're kind of outdated.
Sure.
But if I'm playing a tournament on Mach 3s,
right,
let's do this.
Right. And I think that's the mindset that you have to have of like, there's probably nobody that would in 2022 say the Mach 3 is their favorite basket. But if you're playing a tournament and it's Mach 3s, it better be your favorite basket, because you have to putt on that thing 18, 36, 54, 72 times. Who knows how many?
That's a lot of misputts.
Well, if it's me, it's closer to the 72 number for sure. But I think that's the mindset that you have to have to get to that level. So Logan, we've talked about you enough. I'm sorry, but
it's fair.
We will no longer accept any questions relating to you. If you have anything to say, Eric and I will resort back to booing you.
Okay.
That's not true. You can keep talking, but we are going to move on to Danny's little Facebook question for the Facebook group. If you're not there, join it. Search Facebook on Understable Minds
on Google.
Yeah. Search Facebook on Google. Well, first you got to go to Google, type in Google, enter, type in Facebook, enter, click, then search Understable Minds. And then you can see Danny's Facebook questions and answer whatever they may be. But this week, Danny had one and you missed it.
So the Facebook question this week, I was trying to come up with one. I was thinking of playing tournaments. And I thought lots of us have things that people do during tournaments that we don't exactly vibe with. We don't like. So I asked what the most annoying thing a cardmate has done while playing. And there have been a number of different answers. If you guys want to answer, feel free. If you don't feel like throwing anybody under the bus, that's fine too. But there was like a variety of different ones. Some of the most common ones were leaving a backpack or a cart right off the front of the tee pad or right off the back, right where people are trying to run up and trying to do their shot. Some people said it was like a lefty thing or a righty thing. Like lefties will leave their bag on the other side of the tee pad compared to righties. I always do this. I always set my bag down, line up my shot, and then have to move my bag again.
That's self-sabotage.
Yeah, I just don't think ahead very well, I guess. Another like common category, I guess, was just negativity. People like whining or just being real crybabies on the course. Like I'm sure all of us have had those rounds where they're just not going our way. We're whining about everything, but or getting angry, things like that.
That I feel like everybody definitely has that experience.
Yeah.
Right. Of like somebody's just round isn't going their way, and it's just the entire card is like, hey man, can this guy knock it off?
There was one response that said somebody's significant other was caddying for them, and there was something going on between them. That was very awkward for the whole card.
Yeah.
That's not a bad play though. Like,
yeah, I guess.
not
Oh, if it was like
that's-
fake,
yeah, that's good strategy. Right there.
you're not fake fighting with me enough. Now we're gonna actually fight.
Oh no.
I like that.
There were some like rule breaking, obvious rule breaking, smoking, which is obviously not PDGA events anymore. But one of my favorite ones was like unintentional razzing. Like Patricia Cisco, she works at the retail store. She says it was a caddy mate of a card who was keeping the scorecard, but high-fived me on the tee pad of the last hole to congratulate my win. I was only ahead by one stroke, and it was wooded with an OB creek in the middle of the fairway. It was still anyone's game.
Did she say if she went on to still win the event?
It looks like she did, yeah.
Okay, good.
Was it the person who was one stroke behind her? Because that's just strategy right
Yeah.
there. That's,
Right.
I mean,
you got this thing in the bag. Don't even bother checking scores.
There's no way you could take a 7 on this one, for sure. Have you all ever had that happen? Somebody like congratulates you on your win when you're...
I haven't had anyone congratulate. Usually it's like, hey, man, inbounds.
nice try.
You'll get them next year, bud.
I think I have had somebody say good win on the last hole, but it was more of a 5-stroke, 6-stroke
Yeah.
lead going into it. Nobody's ever done it within like one
Yeah.
that I can recall.
Boy, that would be brutal if she ended up losing.
Yeah. That would be nuts.
Someone commented about somebody who just comments on every shot. Like every shot that someone throws, they're like, oh, good shot, bad shot. That's me. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, what do you do? Just throw a shot and then just sit there and just...
Have you played with this
Well,
person before?
I mean, sure, the nice shots are like, hey, that was good. But maybe like, don't say, dang, dude, that was awful.
I usually try to be, I'm positive for everyone else and super pessimistic for myself.
That was almost good.
Yeah, you have the right idea there. I like the line or something like that. But then myself, I'm like, that was stupid and everything sucks. Why do you even play this game?
As bad as that would be, there is nothing, and I mean nothing worse than you throwing a shot and you know it's bad and just crickets because everyone knows it's bad and nobody wants to say anything because it was
Awkward.
that bad. Yeah, it's like, man. You guys may not be as nearly as familiar with myself as that experience, but let me tell you.
You guys have any annoyances, common nuisances in a disc golf round?
I'm trying to think.
Nothing that hasn't been brought up that I can think of.
Just the roller coaster player that when it's bad, they're kicking stuff. But then when they start playing good, they run down 20 footers and clap and tap the basket.
Yeah.
Just, I'm usually like a you do you, whatever works. But the mood swing person kind of
Yep.
Kills
a
it.
little old.
I think I can't think of a time where this has specifically happened to me, but I've seen this happen before where there's like just the person that talks too much and just say Logan has a bad shot and just kind of wants to go and be quiet. And this guy's like, hey, Logan, I was having lunch yesterday and I ordered my sandwich with no pickles. And then they put pickles on there. And it's just like, bro, like, I get it. We're
Take it
out
down
here.
a notch.
We're having fun. We're all excited. Whatever. Maybe, yeah. Or maybe like they're excited because they get to play with Eric McCabe now. Like, oh, Eric, do you remember when this one time you this and that? And like, hey, man, I'm trying to win. Like, I'm trying to do my job here.
I don't play tournaments anymore, though.
That's right. You've gotten over it at this point if it ever happened.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of, but that hasn't happened to me.
I think I might be another kind of annoying person to play with. I'm always what was that? Like every disc that you
disc was
throw,
that?
if I don't have your bag memorized, I'm curious, like what disc you were just throwing.
I like that. I don't mind that.
It's partially because like I want to know what I'm going to throw, right? Like I'm trying to get a feel for the distance or something like that if it's a blind course, but also like I just like discs. I'm just curious.
Note to self.
I just say deputy
I'm just going to lie
Deputy on everything, yeah.
every time.
to Danny from here on out.
Yeah, you'll definitely beat me then. But yeah, those are pretty much most of the answers from the Facebook question.
And nobody said like cell phone or anything, right?
No, not
Like,
really.
It's kind of a big one, right?
AirPods.
like
If you're like,
cell phone
what did
loud
you
or-
take? What'd you take? Hey, what'd you
Headphones.
take?
Right.
Take them out, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I guess in casual rounds, people who play music really loudly on their cards.
Hey, you guys cool if I play music? And then they play like death metal.
For me, that's different though, because it's a casual round.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I feel like someone would have to try and make me mad during a casual round for me to actually
I don't
get
care
upset.
about. Yeah, that's same.
In casual rounds also, I'm the one more guy. I will throw my entire bag on every hole if I'm not careful. But not if we have like a big group, usually just small.
Right. Yeah, I guess if that gets out of hand, if everyone is doing that all of the time, that would be kind of annoying of like, hey guys, can we
Yeah, it's a
wrap this
6 hour
thing up
round.
a little bit? Yeah.
Casual round, yes. If you're practicing for an event,
Yeah, that is different.
Right. Very different.
Yeah.
Very different environment there. So if people have any stories or answers to Danny's question that they want to put in there, feel free to do that in the Facebook group, or like I said before, join it via Google, via Facebook, then the search bar, and you can hopefully be in there for next week,
nice.
depending on what that may or may not be. You might have a story. Danny, I do believe that you put this next one in here. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, we can. So, like a couple months ago, there was a common question that was posted on a lot of different things. I saw people talking about it on podcasts. It was, are there more doors or wheels? And it was pretty hotly debated. Team doors is obviously wrong. Yeah,
Yes.
there's obviously more wheels. But then the follow-up question to that is, do you think there are more eyes or legs in the world?
Eyes like physical eyeballs, or like does the letter I also count?
No, eye, like EYE. Because, like, do you count camera lenses at that point? Or do you count
No.
spiders? Do spiders have 8 eyes, or do they just have segmented eyes? I don't
They
remember.
also have 8 legs.
They also have 8 legs, though, yeah.
They have 8 legs and they have more than 8 eyes, I believe.
I have deliberately not thought about this so that I can think about it here.
I thought about it,
Eric,
and I'm going to say eyes.
spiders have exactly 8 eyes.
Okay.
Okay.
Some have as many as 12.
Okay. So
Some species do not have any eyes.
Oh.
But if you Google how many eyes do spiders have,
I would still go with eyes because of fish.
Yeah. Consider, though, centipedes.
that's exactly where my
Centipedes have
mind
a lot of legs, but think about how many fish are in the ocean,
The ocean is
that have no legs. All of them,
Yeah.
for the most part. Like, I don't know. I'm team I think. I did think about the insects.
How
But,
many
and ants? I mean,
how many of those fish are far enough down that they don't need eyes, so they don't have them? Or do they still have them? They just don't work.
I'm not a marine biologist.
I don't know. What?
Okay, so I Googled how many legs do centipedes have. Approximately 100. Some have more, some have less. I Googled how many eyes do centipedes have. It said, well, some centipedes have compound eyes containing as many as 200 optical units.
That doesn't count, though.
Does an optical unit count as an eye?
No, that's like a kaleidoscope. That's like what houseflies have. It's like a soccer ball. Like, it's a bunch of different faces on their eye.
But how many eyes do flies have?
2?
Only 2. Dang
Yeah,
it.
they're just segmented up.
But those 2 are the equivalent to thousands of eyes. So I think flies have thousands of eyes.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what you mean by legs too. If you're
Yeah.
counting,
No tables or chairs. Unless do we need them? Are we that far? Is team legs that far behind that we need to
no,
count tables
I don't.
and chairs?
I still think it's team eyes. I'm on team eyes.
Because then at that point, you're talking about like the eye of a needle, or like you put
That's
the
true.
thread through.
Yeah,
A hook.
it's a good
Yep.
point.
Fishing hooks. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of fishing hooks.
Okay.
But I think fish kind of single-handedly.
What if you take it down to just humans? Do you think there are more people who are missing eyes or missing legs? I feel like eyes are more fragile.
I think it's.
But they're also a lot smaller.
I think it's pretty close to the same.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think they even out?
I do.
I'm team legs on humans.
There's more legs than eyes.
Eyes are fragile. They pop.
They pop. What
I
are
don't
you
know. I
doing
just-
outside of work, Danny?
I think it look like they pop. I don't know.
Pop. You pop it right back in.
Your
I
leg could
guess, yeah.
just spontaneously fall off.
There you go. Yeah.
Frostbite.
Who knows?
Frostbite. Nobody's ever got frost sight.
That's
I bet they have.
That actually has definitely happened. I remember here. Okay, back to school. Did you guys ever have to study the Iditarod in like elementary school or middle school? I remember some dude was doing that and his eyes
Popped out.
froze. Like his corneas froze because it was so cold.
Brutal. But he still had them.
That's true. Yeah, if they pop out, do they still exist?
Still had them.
I don't know. Let us know on the Facebook group or in the comments what you think.
I'm team I think, just with the fish alone.
Yeah, fish is a good argument.
There's so many fish.
But there's so many bugs, too.
There's a lot of bugs, but majority of those bugs also have eyes.
Like cockroaches.
Disgusting. They have, what,
Yeah,
4?
gross, dude.
6?
They have 1 eye, 6 legs.
Okay.
Or 2 eyes, 6 legs.
I was going to say, Cyclops.
Well, I mean, fish. There's fish that have 3 eyes. Look at the Simpsons, that episode. They don't have any legs.
Mutants into this? Are we going full like radioactive?
I'm still team I believe.
All right. Agree to disagree.
I believe.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Fair enough. We'll never know. That's the thing.
Dang. We'll start counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6. That's probably a tie.
Tie.
Dang it.
Tie ball game.
All right. We will close out the show with a few questions from our squad. If you are not part of the squad, you can join it by going to squad.dynamicdiscs.com. We've got the first question here comes to us from Isaac. And Isaac says, if you put together a Dream 18, a course made up of your favorite 18 holes from anywhere, what would be your hole 1 and 18?
Oh, man.
I'm going to throw a little stipulation on this. Rather than it just being your 2 favorite holes,
It has to be right. An 18.
Your hole 1 has to be a hole 1 somewhere. And
I agree with that.
18 has to be a hole 18 somewhere. I know my hole 18.
Gosh,
my
that
hole 1 is
hard.
giving me a lot of trouble.
I'm down. I'm between 2 on my hole 1s.
I think I know my hole 1, but I'm not confident enough in it to say it. Partially because I couldn't even tell you the name of the course. But
Brutal. It's Hammond Park.
That's the one. Do you have yours, Logan?
Yes. I've never played it, but
Okay.
Maple Hill.
Number 1
Maple hole
or
1?
18.
Yeah.
Because those are both really good holes.
One
Just both.
off the top, smash, and then a technical green.
Yeah, hole 1 at Maple Hill is a good. It crossed my mind, but it wouldn't be mine. I think mine is either hole 1 at Waterworks, because I think that's just a phenomenal hole, or I'm leaning more towards hole 1 at Disc Golf Terminalen in Skellefteå.
Ooh, is that like the par
6
6
that the Albatross River came from?
Good call.
That is my number 1 right there.
The one I'm thinking of, I forget if it's Fox Run or Brewster Ridge, but I always remember there's like a bridge of pallets and you kind of throw over some tall grass, kind of bends to the left. There's some trees. It's kind of like you want to throw it.
OB on the left.
I think so. Yeah. I always get those 2 courses mixed up in my head.
Yeah.
But that's the one
That's Fox, I think.
The par 6 would be super cool.
Yeah, I like that hole. That's probably my favorite hole in disc golf, so it's pretty easy for that to be my number 1.
That's a really good one. Do you have one, Danny, that comes to mind?
Oh, no. Not off the top of my head.
Hammond.
I honestly, I really like hole 1 at Supreme. There were people that saying like it shouldn't be hole 1, but I like it. Island hole to start it out, a gut check. It's not that hard, but like.
And you can lay up.
Yeah.
The scoring spread on that was magnificent.
I would love to see it if it wasn't windy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we
August.
probably will in August. Yeah.
Yep.
Or tomorrow if you're not doing anything. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow.
All right. So hole 18.
Hole 18. Oh, there's so many good ones.
I can do.
What's your
mine.
18? You said you know yours.
I had to fact check mine this morning, and I'm right. It is hole 18 for this weekend's Masters Cup, top of the world. They're not playing the full De La layout. They're playing an 18-hole layout.
Hole 27.
Yes, but they are playing it this weekend as hole 18.
Gosh, that hole it used to be so good. It's a little different now.
Right.
They've lost a tree.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a shorter pin.
Yeah, it's much more of a like an iconic hole.
It's
right,
such a
like
good
hole
hole,
17
though. My gosh,
USDGC.
that's a good pick.
16 at the Country Club. Like it
Yeah.
maybe isn't the best hole in the world that anyone will ever play, but it's just iconic, and that hole just means so much.
Yeah. The parking lot. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. Logan?
The only one I can think of is the Beast,
The Beast?
the European Open.
Okay.
I like
that's a great hole.
The aesthetics of that one more than
big
the way
L.
it plays.
Is that the one? And then there's like the giant scoreboard.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
right behind
great.
it.
That
Good
one.
shots uphill, OB close, elevated pin.
That one just looks like it's something out of a video game. Of like if there was a disc golf video game, this is what the holes would look like.
Yeah,
that's a
good
great
one.
pick.
That is a great one. So for me, it's one of 2. Again, I think I'll go with the other. So 18 at USDGC is one for sure that comes to mind when it's in the long pin. That's such a tough finishing hole. But for me, Dream 18, I'm going to go with hole 18 at Yarva. It's a par 4, and your tee shot is like so far uphill, and there's OB down the right. So if you crunch too much, you risk hitting and rolling out of bounds, and the basket sets up on a plateau. So the shot there is really keep it to the right. There's a little flat landing zone that you can either get aggressive and hit or be short and then get aggressive on your second shot up to the green. It's just such a great finishing hole. So Sweden obviously makes great courses because that's where my 1 and 18 are.
Is that the one that I remember a long time ago, probably like 2015? Paul threw and had just like a 90-foot roll away. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we've got some different variety here. Danny, do you have an 18 or is this just hole 9 at Hammond? You play it twice?
That one for sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
If you play it twice, it counts as 18, right? Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
At Hammond, there's no 18 at Hammond. Oh, that's funny. I mean, Supreme 18 is another one that's really good.
I really like that.
It's a great finishing hole. Yeah.
I love how deceptive that tee shot is.
Yeah.
Because you see where the gap is and you see where you think you want to land your shot. And then you're like 50 feet short of the gap. You want to be further from the gap. Yes. If you can. Anytime or be right at the gap. Yeah. Anytime I've thrown a good tee shot, anytime I've had a good approach, I've thrown a tee shot that I was not happy with.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang it, dude, I just sawed that off way more than I ever meant to. And then it's just center cut on the gap. Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. We will move on to a question from Charles. Charles says, I have a hard time recovering from a bad hole and tend to just fall apart. What are some tips others do to help bring it back together? So I'll ask you guys, basically, you have your blow up hole. Everybody's had them. Hopefully we're all done with those. But when you had them, and if they should ever happen again, what do you do to not continue down that path?
For me, it's having a short memory and just, I mean, there's nothing you can do about the past, right? There's nothing you can do about that hole that you just had. The key is to just stay focused on what's at hand, really, and what's in front of you, as opposed to dwelling on the 6, 7, 8 that you just took on the hole before. Because if you have that in your mind when you're moving on to the next hole, you might as well step off the tee pad and refocus, regain everything.
Just put another 7.
Exactly, because that's probably what's going to happen. Is that for me? It's just a matter of, I mean, Logan can probably agree to this. Some of my best rounds, I have no idea what I'm shooting.
Yep,
no idea. I don't know how close to the lead I am. I don't know what my score is. I'm just playing golf.
Just out there doing it.
I didn't know scores at Dynamic Disc Open until after rounds 1 through 3, and then hole 18 of the final round.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for that. And when you do that, you're not letting one shot define you or your round. And I think that's a mistake people make when they catastrophize. I took an 8. My round is ruined, blah, 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 and they go on, and then you trash your whole round. It's one hole. And it was probably one bad shot, maybe a couple, but you blew up. Okay. Don't let it affect your next one. Like, I try to disconnect entirely. Like, I won't even think disc golf walking to the next tee pad. I'm looking for a squirrel. I'm looking for a pine cone. I'm, think about my family or something that makes me happy. And that's that's what's important.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like snowmen.
How hog snouts. Yeah. I mean, how much does it really mean?
Right.
Like, it's disc golf.
Yeah.
You might have lost a little money, but you can still grind and make it back. And for most people, you're probably not competing for a large sum of cash. So it's a bad shot.
Move on.
There's more to life.
Nobody's ever gone home from a tournament and been like, hey guys, I played with this one dude and he threw this shot and it went OB, and then he threw another one, went OB. The guy double bogeyed hole 7. Like, and then everyone was just laughing and, oh, let's find the guy that took a 7. Like, nah, no, that doesn't happen. Like you said, at the end of the day, in most cases, it doesn't matter all that much.
Life goes on.
Yep. All right. We've got another one from Jacob. Jacob wants to know, what is a disc or mold that you just can't jive with? No matter how many times you try it, you just don't like the flight or feel or whatever. I I have an answer for this one, and I will probably get some backlash for it. The disc that has never, will never, ever, ever, ever.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it the Judge?
It's not the Judge.
Okay.
The Judge was in my bag.
Okay.
And it worked for a little while. No. The disc that I've thrown one good shot with this disc lifetime, and I think I had it in my bag for almost 2 seasons.
Dang.
The Buzz.
Oh, okay.
I do not know why. People can throw some of the best shots that have ever been thrown with that disc.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me to throw it anywhere, good luck. I can't do it. I
have one very similar, actually.
Let's hear it.
The harp. For me, the harp is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it is probably because the harp is kind of perfectly tooled for a forehand approach. Like that's how
strong
it flies
suit of
the
Eric
best.
McCabe.
Yeah. So if I'm throwing a backhand with it, it just always comes out early, no matter what, every single time. Like I did the video of the Sake Bomb Slammer, and I was comparing it to a culprit and a harp.
Mm-hmm.
So many times I threw that harp like garbage, and it's just like, why do people like this thing so much? Like it's awful. Like it feels like crap, comes out of my hand awfully, and I just can't live with it. And I don't have to. That's the beauty of it. And I think a lot of it is my game plan is not a forehand approach, like you said. And if it's super, super windy, like I'll throw a Justice.
Mm-hmm.
It gets the job done for me. And other than that, I'm throwing a putter, just a neutral flying putter, because I want to go from point A to point B in a straight line.
Yeah.
And not worry about deviation off anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's the harp.
What about you, Logan? Is there anything that you just, whatever reason, just doesn't click?
I liked the way it flew because at the time I didn't have much of a turnover backhand, and it would kind of do that for me. But the bounty just felt weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it was. I think it's the way I hold a disc or something, because I know it works for a lot of people, but I couldn't be confident with the way it felt in my hand.
It does have kind of a weird rim on the bottom. It's unique.
Is there a bead? It's like it's recessed
it's
really
a big
quick.
rounded bead almost.
It's definitely,
it kind of feels like a comet
in
my hand.
It's a very unique shape.
Which shows a comet.
Right.
And it's, interesting.
Just a little different.
Yeah.
All right. Our final question for the week, for the episode, comes to us from Dusty. And I wanted to grab this one specifically while we had you in town and while we had you on the show, Logan. Dusty wants to know, when throwing a forehand, mine is wobbly for the first few feet after its release. For the first few feet. Is that a release problem, or is that a power problem? You have, as I'm sure people saw in the Dynamic Discs Open, and as we've talked about a few times during the show, you have a very good sidearm. It's very smooth. Is wobble in sidearms power, release, both, neither?
I'd say it's grip and release.
Okay.
I think you're doing something. You may not be holding it wrong, but at the end of a forehand, a lot of people like to get squirrely, and they'll roll their wrist, or they'll do something other than move the disc straight forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard the palm up, palm down debate. I think in my follow through, I wind up palm down, but the whole time I'm thinking move straight through the disc, just like a backhand. Backhand, you're trying to come straight through and not deviate. Forehand is the same way. You push, 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 and then pop at the end. And I'm not popping over. I'm not popping up. I'm popping through the disc. That's what's going to give it spin and keep it going that way, rather than if I'm going to roll at all. I mean, that's what's going to give it off axis torque, I would think. And it would give you that noise and the wobble.
Yeah.
It's working out of it, and you're losing distance by doing it. Some people get away with it. Some people have that flutter even on a backhand, but you're probably trying to throw it too hard. Check your grip, and you can check it just with it in your hand and like kind of pull the disc out. Make sure it's coming out clean. If you feel drag on the top of your index finger, kind of by your thumb, that can cause it, but move straight through the disc. And I think my best advice is to reach out in front of you. Release the disc out here. Don't try to release it back here. Really get out in front of your body, release it out there. And those are my cleanest releases.
Yeah.
So check your grip. Don't try to kill it.
Yeah.
And make sure you're pushing the disc forward, not up or over.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the wounded duck. So I like
200-foot wobblers.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can't hear my disc flying, did I
Yeah.
even throw the thing?
Exactly.
But it works for some people. Like, it may not be, as long as your forehand is useful.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people with wobbly backhands, forehands, and wobbly putts that are
Definitely putts.
like, they're fine. Like, and it works. It's the weirdest thing, but
I would not want to have a wobbly putt in wind. I feel like you're just exposing the flight plate too often.
But then it would probably balance out because like sometimes it's lifting, sometimes it's getting slammed.
Possibly. That's why Jay Redding is such a great
It's like
putter.
a knuckleball putt.
I've heard that argument that it like levels out, but it seems like a gamble. I don't want to.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of trust in something that's unpredictable.
Fact.
Pass. Pass for me on
Like
that
a tailwind putt.
Pass all the tailwind putts to me. Pass all the headwind putts to you
Yep,
two
I'll take it.
loons.
I'll take it all day.
That is
Speaking of wounded duck.
loon?
Yeah.
Is that
It's a duck.
the genetic term for a wounded duck?
I don't think so. It's just
It's like a
it's a species of duck.
species. There you go. I was going to say breed, but I knew that wasn't the right word. That's all the time we have for episode 25. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Eric, for joining me. Thank you, Danny, for joining us. Logan, thank you for joining us as well. Congratulations once again on your wonderful, wonderful finish at the Dynamic Discs Open. We look forward to seeing you out on the road somewhat. And then back in town here come August.
I'm full time for 3 months out of the year.
When does that start?
As soon as school's out, I fly to first weekend of June. So first weekend of June through like the middle of August, I'm full time disc golf. I can dedicate everything to it. So I do tour, just not 12 months.
Right.
So
3
And
months.
it's not like he's not out grinding on the weekends either in these other events and regional. It's
Yeah.
almost harder. I guess it's not harder. I guess I shouldn't say that, but it is definitely a challenge to win on the regional level anymore. Like you kind of touched on it earlier, the Oklahoma guys.
Oh, yeah.
Those dudes know how to play those courses. They've played them for years and years and know exactly where to be, where not to be, and it's tough to go into that environment and be successful. But if you have confidence, you can make it happen.
Yep.
Cool. Goodbye, everybody.